Even if I did, there was no way he heard. The reporters were having fits of giggles about it all, but I cut in. Lies, lies. That only made them laugh harder. Willie, too. Now, he says, I can't help but wonder if there wasn't something else at play. I was training to get to the front lines, the same place Willie'd been training to get, but the palace had...
History to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
That's quite a statement. Who do you think that is?
I'm not going to share at this point, you know? I know all the names of the people that were involved in this process.
Scuttled his plans. The spare, sure. Let him run around on a battlefield like a chicken with his head cut off. It's what he likes, but the heir...
And again, you know, you have to question, why wasn't I put through the same risk management board that everybody else was put through, including members of my family?
And you rejected to repeat itself?
Yeah, I don't want history to repeat itself. I think there's a lot of other people out there, the majority, that also don't want history to repeat itself.
Not only championed the industry's rising stars, but has helped to inspire the next generation of acting talent to pursue their dreams.
History to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
That's quite a statement. Who do you think that is?
I'm not going to share at this point, you know? I know all the names of the people that were involved in this process. And again, you know, you have to question, why wasn't I put through the same risk management board that everybody else was put through, including members of my family?
Brown, head of BAFTA and team leader of the BAFTA Be Better committee. I was told there was an Alan coming?
I am Alan coming.
Yes, indeed. Now, Alan arrived. Sorry about the letter on the chair, our email's down.
I know what this is about. You've nominated Lala as best canine co-host of a competition reality show, haven't you?
That isn't a category.
Well, it should be.
Look, you're a busy-ish man, so I'll cut to the chase. We at BAFTA, for this year's television award.
There was a time when Prince Harry didn't need to ask. He didn't need to apply. He didn't even need to explain. But those days are over. The royal doors that once opened without hesitation slammed shut. And now, the unthinkable has happened. According to insiders, Harry quietly reached out for financial help. A simple loan. Not a bailout, not a handout, just temporary support. But instead of assistance, he got a firm no. No discussion, no empathy, no exceptions. Even being the son of Princess Diana didn't sway the decision. It's the kind of rejection that doesn't just sting, it echoes. Because it wasn't just about money, it was a message, a sharp, royal reminder that when you walk away from the firm, you don't come back when the bills stack up. And if that wasn't enough, another blow landed right after. His long legal battle to restore government-funded security in the UK officially failed. So now, every trip back to his home country comes with a private security bill in the millions, out of his own pocket. This is no longer about stepping back from royal duties. It's about being completely cut off, financially, institutionally, emotionally. And with Meghan diving deeper into Hollywood projects and Harry's role in the public eye growing more uncertain, it's starting to look less like a royal reinvention.
No longer a working royal.
Sorry?
And you reject that it has nothing to do with the fact that you're no longer a working royal.
Whether I have an official role or not is irrelevant to the security that
and more like a quiet crisis. So how did the Golden Prince of the Palace become a man standing on the outside, knocking, and getting no reply? What led to this total shutout? And what does it say about the future of Harry, Meghan, and the once-hyped independent royal brand? Let's break it all down, from the denied loan to the spiraling costs, the strained brand deals, and the palace silence that speaks louder than words. Because this might be the moment that changes everything. Let's talk about that loan, because it wasn't just any financial request. It was personal, quiet, a behind-the-scenes reach out to UK institutions that Harry once had effortless access to. And yet, it was denied, flat out. He wasn't asking for millions. Reports suggest it was a modest loan, likely meant to help with ongoing expenses while he and Meghan navigate their next chapter. But even with his royal bloodline, even with the legacy of his late mother, Princess Diana, the answer was still a firm no. It shocked people close to the situation. Why deny him? Why now? Well, to insiders at the palace, this wasn't just about numbers. It was symbolic, a reminder that the monarchy is done making exceptions, that even a prince who once stood next to the queen no longer holds any special access once he's stepped away. There's an old phrase, you can't have it both ways. And for the firm, that's become a rule. If you walk out for independence, then you fund that independence completely. And the timing? Brutal. This rejection didn't happen in a vacuum. It came just as Harry's legal defeat over security costs was being finalized. So not only is he now covering all his own personal protection, but he also has legal bills piling up and a mortgage on a Montecito mansion that reportedly eats up a massive chunk of their monthly spend. People close to the couple say the denial hurt, not because of the money, but because of what it meant. It wasn't just a closed account, it was a closed door. And it sent a ripple through every other deal, pitch, and brand opportunity Harry's been linked to since. This wasn't just about a loan, it was about the limits of legacy, about how far a royal name really goes when you're no longer protected by the institution behind it. And unfortunately for Harry, that answer is becoming clearer by the day. Just when you think things couldn't get more complicated, another door slammed shut.
One of those drab cloaks, okay? I'm just not.
After years of legal battles, Prince Harry officially lost his appeal to reinstate publicly funded security while visiting the UK. The court's ruling was final. No taxpayer-funded protection, no exceptions. Not even for a royal born into one of the most secure families on earth. And this wasn't just a quiet no. It came with consequences. Harry is now responsible for his own protection every time he steps foot on British soil, something experts estimate costs millions annually. And to make things worse, he's also been ordered to pay nearly all of the government's legal expenses from the case. So what does that mean in plain terms? The safety net is gone. The same system that once assigned him high-level police escorts now treats him like any private citizen. There's no more automatic coverage, no royal override, just invoices, and lots of them. For someone who's long said he left the royal family to protect his own, this is a hard hit. Security has always been at the center of Harry's story. His concern for Meghan, his children, the memories of his mother's final days. He didn't just want protection, he needed it. But the court saw it differently. The argument was simple. If you step away from royal responsibilities, you don't get royal perks. And protection is a perk, one funded by the people, not earned by title alone. Behind the scenes, sources say the loss was devastating, not because of the ruling itself, but because of what it confirmed. There's no going back, not even for security, not even for safety. Now, Harry must navigate every future trip home as a private citizen, with private bills. And that, more than anything, shows just how final the break really is. From the outside, it still looks like a dream. 9 bedrooms, a sprawling Montecito estate, lush gardens, ocean breezes, celebrity neighbors. But behind those gates, reality is setting in. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's California lifestyle comes with a serious price tag.
And where no one can hear you scream. This castle is home to the traitors. But in a cruel twist of fate, Alan Cumming, the devilishly handsome host of the Traitors US, is summoned to receive a letter.
By order of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, you have been summoned to the Traitors.
And it's one they now carry alone. Let's break it down. That Montecito mansion, it was purchased for nearly $15 million back in 2020. At one point, property values in the area soared, giving them a short-lived bump. But recently, that home's value has reportedly dipped by nearly $1 million, reflecting a cooling luxury market. And then there's the monthly spend. Experts estimate they shell out $2 to $3 million every year, just on private security. That's not counting staff, upkeep, travel, or the cost of raising 2 kids in one of the most expensive zip codes in the country. But here's where it gets even messier. Their charity, Archewell, once a shining example of their mission-driven brand, has taken a financial hit too. Public filings show donations dropped by $11 million in just 1 year. On top of that, in early 2024, the California Attorney General flagged Archewell as delinquent due to late fees, a status later resolved, but not without headlines and public questions about their finances. The numbers are adding up, and not in their favor. What started as a fresh start away from royal constraints is now looking more like a high-pressure balancing act. Big dreams, big promises, and even bigger expenses. But the guaranteed income? That's not what it used to be. And in a world where every deal comes with fine print and deadlines, financial freedom starts to feel a lot more fragile. The truth? Maintaining the image of royalty without the funding of the crown isn't just difficult, it's dangerous. One wrong move, one failed project, and the cracks begin to show. And those cracks? They're already forming. If there's one person who refuses to slow down, it's Meghan Markle. While headlines swirl around finances and falling support, Meghan is in full-on hustle mode. She's pitching, she's producing, she's reinventing. Because when the media deals stall, the only option left is to create your own spotlight. After the high-profile collapse of their Spotify deal in 2023, which ended earlier than anyone expected, many thought the Sussex media empire had peaked. But Meghan bounced back fast. In 2024, she partnered with Lemonada Media and launched a brand new podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. And she didn't hold back. On one of the most talked about episodes, she openly admitted she still battles a scarcity mindset, a leftover feeling from her early days in Hollywood, constantly worrying about running out of money. It was raw, it was honest, and it struck a chord. But make no mistake, this wasn't just therapy talk, this was strategy. Meghan's out there creating content, building a new platform, and trying to land projects that actually stick. From documentaries to scripted dramas, lifestyle content to brand partnerships, her team has been pushing hard to keep the Sussex name relevant. And yet, behind the scenes, industry buzz is mixed. Some execs are reportedly frustrated. Promises were made, concepts were pitched, but the results? Slower than expected. Several projects have quietly fizzled, others have been delayed, and now, sources say that Meghan is feeling the pressure, carrying the weight of the brand while Harry still seems to be searching for his next big move. It's a lot, and in Hollywood, momentum matters. If you're not delivering, the phone stops ringing. For Meghan, this isn't just about fame, it's about survival.
Back to us. Thank you. Okay, eyes this way. Just turn this way.
Relevance equals revenue. And in the world of streaming and sponsorships, loyalty fades fast when the numbers don't show up. So while Meghan keeps smiling in front of the cameras, behind the scenes, she's sprinting. Numbers don't lie. And for Prince Harry, the latest numbers are brutal. According to recent data from YouGov, Harry's public approval in the UK has sunk to a new low. Just 27% of Brits view him positively. A staggering 63% now see him in a negative light. That's not just a dip, that's a full-blown image crash. And this isn't a one-off moment. It's a steady decline that's been building since the release of Spare, the Netflix docuseries, and a string of high-profile interviews. What started as public curiosity has shifted into public fatigue. People aren't just questioning what Harry stands for anymore, they're asking what exactly he's doing. Once beloved as the fun prince, the one who brought a human touch to royal tradition, Harry is now being labeled by some as out of touch. The loan request didn't help. To many, it felt like a contradiction. How can someone ask for financial help after signing multi-million-dollar media deals? The perception has changed. And in this game, perception is everything. Brand experts say public opinion is one of the most valuable currencies celebrities have. When it dips, everything gets harder. Pitching projects, landing deals, drawing in sponsors, even charity work becomes more difficult when trust starts to erode. It's not just about numbers, it's about momentum. And Harry's momentum, it's heading in the wrong direction. Meanwhile, Meghan's approval ratings are holding slightly stronger, likely thanks to her podcast pivot and strategic media presence. But even she isn't immune to the ripple effect of public skepticism. The royal escape narrative? It's lost its novelty. Now, people want results, and the tough truth is this: you can only ride sympathy for so long. Eventually, the audience expects a second act, a new chapter, a reason to root for you again. The question is, can Harry deliver that before the public completely tunes out? They say you know who your real friends are when things get tough. And for Prince Harry, that circle is starting to shrink. Not long ago, he was surrounded by a support system that spanned 2 continents: royal insiders, Hollywood allies, charitable organizations. But now, many of those once close relationships are quietly fading into the background. One of the biggest shocks came earlier this year when Harry resigned from Sentabale, the charity he co-founded nearly 2 decades ago to support children impacted by HIV in Lesotho and Botswana. It was his passion project, a cause he deeply believed in. But behind the scenes, reports suggest internal disagreements and governance issues led to the split. For fans and supporters, it was heartbreaking. For observers, it was a red flag. Because when even the work closest to your heart starts to unravel, it says something bigger about the pressure behind the scenes. And then there's the royal family. Once his safety net, now a silent wall. No public support, no private reconciliation visible. Just long stretches of silence, even as Harry's legal battles, financial rumors, and media coverage continue to pile up. Sources close to the palace say this isn't accidental, it's strategic. The monarchy doesn't do emotional PR, they do distance. And with each headline Harry makes, the more Buckingham Palace seems to step back, keeping the royal brand as far away from controversy as possible. Hollywood's not far behind. In the entertainment world, association is everything. If your name brings baggage instead of buzz, calls stop getting returned, invitations go missing, relationships cool off. And the Sussexes, they're starting to feel that chill. It's not personal, it's business. But when both your family and your professional network start pulling away, you're left standing in the middle, wondering who's still really on your side. For Harry, that list might be shorter than ever. Time is ticking, and Netflix is watching. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle first signed that blockbuster deal with Netflix in 2020, it was celebrated as a game changer, a reported $100 million partnership, global content, creative freedom, a chance to tell their story on their terms. But 5 years later, that deal is now approaching its expiration date, December 2025, and insiders say the renewal isn't a done deal. Yes, Netflix executives have praised Meghan publicly. They've called her ambitious, strategic, and media savvy. But behind closed doors, the conversations are more cautious. Because in Hollywood, it all comes down to numbers, viewership, buzz, deliverables. And while Harry and Meghan made headlines during its debut, other projects haven't had the same traction. There's growing pressure to deliver consistent hits, not just moments. Right now, Meghan is reportedly focused on a new lifestyle series tied to her brand. As ever, it's stylish, it's personal, and it's filmed without Harry. And that detail hasn't gone unnoticed. People are starting to ask, is this the beginning of a professional split? Meanwhile,
regardless of whether they have risk or threat to their name. And by the way, I agree with that. I think that is...
Harry's solo ventures haven't moved the needle as strongly. His documentary on the Invictus Games was heartfelt, but it didn't dominate charts the way Netflix hoped. And with the platform tightening its spending and competition heating up, every dollar counts more than ever. If the numbers don't justify the investment, Netflix won't hesitate to move on. And for the Sussexes, losing that deal wouldn't just be a PR blow. It would be a financial earthquake. Without Netflix, the brand's biggest stream of income disappears, and the space to tell their story shrinks dramatically. So now, it's a race. One more year. One more shot to prove their staying power in the most cutthroat industry on Earth. And the stakes couldn't be higher. For Prince Harry, the biggest battle might not be financial, or even public. It's personal. It's about identity. Because what happens when the life you were born into no longer wants you back, and the life you chose hasn't fully embraced you either? In California, Harry is a celebrity. Famous, sure, but one among thousands. In the UK, he's still technically a prince, but one who's burned bridges, lost roles, and now finds himself shut out of the very institution that shaped his life. And that middle ground? It's proving to be the hardest place of all. Harry spent his entire youth being shaped by palace protocol. Every handshake, every headline, every speech, it was all curated. Then suddenly, in pursuit of freedom, he walked away. But what didn't come with him? The structure, the system, the guardrails. Meghan, by contrast, knew Hollywood. She had a roadmap, a playbook, she could pivot, but Harry, he's navigating a whole new world without a guide. And the loan denial, that wasn't just about money, it was a clear signal. Royal privilege doesn't follow you once you leave the palace gates. You can't carry the title without carrying the duty. That's where the tension lies. Harry wants to make his mark on his own terms. He wants to build something meaningful, lasting, independent. But the shadow of the crown is always right behind him, both a blessing and a burden. He's no longer the untouchable royal. He's a man in transition, a husband, a father, a public figure trying to write his own second act.
I don't need to go into detail how much the royal family costs or how much protection costs or whatever. What I will say is that some of the British tabloid press did a very good job.
And that journey, while deeply human, is playing out on the biggest, brightest stage possible. The world is watching, but what they see now isn't just a prince. They see a man still figuring it out. So where does it all go from here? The loan rejection, the security loss, the tightening polls, the looming Netflix deadline. Each moment tells the same story. The royal cushion is gone. There's no backup plan, no golden safety net. Just real life, real pressure, and real consequences. Prince Harry didn't leave the monarchy to struggle. He left to build something better, more authentic, more free, more grounded. But freedom comes at a price. And now, that price is staring him in the face. Every decision, every dollar, every public appearance, it all carries weight. There's no room for missteps. The world is no longer applauding from the sidelines. It's evaluating, waiting, watching. And Meghan, she's running hard, launching projects, building partnerships, trying to keep their relevance intact. But even she knows, momentum is fragile and Hollywood is ruthless. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. And there's only so much you can carry on your own. What's left now is a turning point. The fairy tale is officially over. The titles, stripped, the invitations, gone. The money, unsteady, the influence, shrinking. But what remains is opportunity. Because reinvention is still possible. If Harry stops chasing the spotlight and starts building something with real purpose, something deeper than content and controversy, he could still turn it around. Public respect doesn't require a crown, it requires clarity and consistency and courage. But time is running out. The next year will define everything, not just for their brand, but for their legacy. It's not about headlines anymore, it's about survival, reinvention, and finding meaning when the royal script has already ended. This isn't about a prince trying to get back in, it's about a man trying to move forward. And whether he rises or fades depends on what he chooses next.